Hello guys, today is day 6 of the Flats and Handwashing challenge, and the topic for today is what is working for me and what is not. So this was actually kind of hard for me to put together in my head, really, because I thought, it seems like everything is working and nothing is not working, but because this year I used, like I said in my stash video, I used 2 dozen bird's eye cotton flats and 3 covers. I'm surprised how well that worked. As far as the bird's eye cotton flats, they're smaller. My son is typically more of a heavy wetter, but lately it's been more for him a frequency thing than an all-in-one flooding kind of thing. So I've been getting by with just 1 pad folded flat at a time and then 2 for nighttime. So that's actually been working out really well. By the time that the flats are dried, I still have a small amount left. So there's like a nice cushion. So I think 2 dozen diapers is a great number, a good, comfortable number for hand washing every day, regardless how many diapers your child is using. And if you have to, you can always wash sooner, and you can always expedite drying by other means of things. Like for me with the covers, I would have to expedite the drying of the covers. I would do so by wrapping them in a towel. Those had to be washed as I went, simply because 3 covers, when he had when he had his poop days, he would soil the cover, and if it got on the elastic of the gusset, it would have to be washed. But if it stayed further down in the cover, sometimes I could get away with just taking a wipe to it, because it would only be just a tiny smear and it would be fine. You wouldn't even know he pooped in the cover. But for the most part, they would have to get washed, and then trying to keep them dry and rotated. In order to do so, I would have to expedite drying, especially since it's been so muggy, which I would accomplish by rolling them in a towel and pressing them. So that would actually get them about 95% dry, and the only thing that would be a little bit wet would be the elastics, which is awesome. So that 3 covers, that was probably what I was most nervous about going into this challenge, was using only 3 covers, and that proved to actually be much more of a success than I thought it was going to be. So I'm really impressed with that. So the number of flats I used, the only reason I think 2 dozen flats worked for me was because they are bird's eye cotton. If I had 2 dozen flour sack towels, that would not be enough, because I know that my son would be wetting through 1 flour sack towel in an instant. That is as far as for washing once a day. If I had 2 dozen flour sack towels, I could make it work, but I would be washing probably twice a day, because they would have to be doubled up, because if I don't put an adequate amount of absorbency in the cover gets saturated and then has to be washed, or at least dried. It has to at least hang dry. I can't put that back on him. So I had to have adequate absorption in there, which the bird's eye cotton flat proved to be enough that if I changed him frequently enough, his cover wouldn't get super soaked or soiled. So that worked out really well. I think the reason 2 dozen was very successful for me with washing once a day was because they were bird's eye cotton. The box fans have been a godsend, because everything's been so muggy and yucky. So box fans are a huge contributor to my success with this challenge, not just for this challenge, but for just my laundry in general. I don't have a dryer, and it has been wet and blah outside since the Friday before the challenge began, and it's not supposed to clear up until next Wednesday. Thanks, Murphy, for sending me nothing but gloom and weather for the duration of the challenge. But anyhow, the box fans have been helping me immensely with getting any of my laundry dry. It's the only reason things have been drying for me, has been those box fans. If I didn't have the box fans, the only other way I could think of to get them dry would be to string line upstairs, like here in the upstairs instead of in my basement, because my basement's really humid. Gets really humid and really wet down there. And it is drier upstairs, whether we have the air on or not. It's drier up here. So if I didn't have the box fans, I would have to string them up here, and I know they would dry up here because I've dried things up here, well, several times. So another thing that surprised me was switching to a morning routine actually proved to work really well for me. When I began cloth diapering and when I did the challenge last year, I would wash every evening and let things dry overnight, because usually by morning they would be dry. 12 hours was more than enough time for things to dry. However, when this year I decided to do a morning routine, which actually proved to be of benefit for me, just as far as making things work more cyclically and more in tune with my schedule. Even though I'm much busier in the morning, it was still easy for me to find a way to allot the 15 minutes I needed for hand washing. That's all I needed, was 15 minutes. And because of this mugginess, my flats aren't drying really fast like they normally do. In fact, when I hang them up in the morning, by evening, when I go down and check them, they're probably about 90% dry. So they're not even fully dry by evening, which means they need that extra time overnight to finish drying, which means if I washed them in the evening, they wouldn't be dry until the following evening. And I kind of like the idea of having all my flats and stuff ready in the morning for the day. I don't like the idea of doing everything in the evening because I discovered that by evening, I don't want to do anything. I send the kids to bed and I'm like, okay, I'm done with today. So I'm actually kind of glad I switched to a morning routine. I actually very much enjoyed that. So another thing that surprised me was not using my sprayer. I've been just dunking and swishing. For my son, that hasn't really proved necessary. For the most part, his stools are ploppable because even soft, I can manipulate the flat and plop. But for my daughter's underwear, that's where the problem comes in. She has ploppable stools if she doesn't sit on it. The problem is she likes to poop herself because she doesn't fully understand pooping on the potty yet, and she sits on it. She won't tell me. So then she smashes it into the underwear, and so for me, spraying actually was a bit of a nuisance, even trying to get it completely off. And I found that because I chopped my sprayer off, like I cut it off. I'm like, okay, I'm done with you. You're not part of the challenge. I'm not calculating you into the challenge costs. So I haven't been using my sprayer. So I've been using a glove, turning the underwear inside out, dunking into the toilet, and rubbing the material against itself to kind of agitate it off. And that's actually worked really, really well. It's easier than I'm like, I don't even want to use my sprayer anymore then. Like I have it now at this point, my sprayer is almost unnecessary for just general cloth diapering. And for my daughter's underwear. So using a glove and dunking proved to be a lot more successful than I was anticipating as well. I'm surprised how much success I've had with Liquid Gain from the Dollar Tree. I usually use powdered detergents when I'm hand washing. This year I chose to try liquid, and that actually worked out really well, even using about the same amount as I would dry. In fact, actually I found I was less likely to use too much, although I did for the time-lapse video, I used too much liquid detergent because I only had, like, I think 8 lightly wet diapers. But for the most part, I found more success with not going too overboard with detergent with the liquid as opposed to powder. I was much more apt to using too much detergent with powder than liquid. So that was surprising to me, and I enjoyed it. I still have lots left. I have at least half a container left, and it was new when I started using it, and it's been almost a week now. So that's pretty cool. I estimated probably about 12 days worth of washing out of it before, and I think that's pretty accurate of a estimate based on my usage. In fact, I could probably get a solid 2 weeks out of that detergent. Bucket and plunger is what I'm using to wash with, and of course that's been a success for me before, and it's still a success for me now. I've got my method down to pat. So those are all things that are working for me. What's not working for me is this dang weather. Like I said, it's been gloomy and muggy and humid and rainy, and I had like one day, like a 4-hour gap in one day where I actually had decent enough weather that I could dry things really quick. I hung my flats out, they dried in a snap. I was like, oh my goodness, this is awesome. And then it was almost like someone dumped a bunch of water into the air. It got really humid, and then we have a nasty thunderstorm. But I was glad, I was very, very thankful for that few-hour gap that I could dry diapers. Another thing that's not working for us is overnight wetness sensitivities. So my son is very sensitive to feeling wet. When he needs a diaper change, he gets mad. I'd be mad too. So usually by 4 or 5 in the morning, his diaper is saturated. It's okay, it's filled. I wouldn't say it's completely maxed out as far as its absorbency, but he's feeling wet enough that he knows it, and so when he starts to stir around that time, normally he just goes right back to sleep, but lately he's been waking up and getting angry because he needs a diaper change. So I've had to change his diaper at like 4 a.m. And I've been putting him, I haven't put him in another overnight, I just put him in a regular pad folded diaper. Sorry, I kind of like rabbit trail. My brain just kind of went on a rabbit trail. I've been just kind of doing a pad fold afterwards. to just give him a dry diaper. And usually if I can catch it soon enough and just lay him back down, he'll go right back to sleep. This morning proved to not be the case, and so if I look tired, it's because I am tired. And there's only one other thing I could think of that does not work for me. That has not worked for me. Do not order fluff mail when you're doing the challenge. There's nothing worse than getting super cute covers and not being able to use them. I almost actually put these covers over top his normal, like, challenge cover just so I could get a picture, and I was like, no, I'm just gonna wait. Just gonna wait. Look how cute it is. They're so pretty. I've been selling all-in-ones. Okay, yeah. I've been selling all-in-ones that I've slowly accumulated over time. I've been selling them off and just sticking to my pre-folds and covers, and he's outgrowing. I used a lot of buttons covers, and he's maxed out in them. So a lot of buttons and best bottom. I have both, but he's outgrowing them, so I had to get some super covers, and these are so pretty. They're so pretty. Anyways, yeah, don't order fluff mail during the challenge unless you order it near the end and get it afterwards, or you're gonna torture yourself. I can assure you, you're gonna torture yourself. Like, oh, I want to use them so bad. They're so cute, and I'm excited. It's probably gonna be the first thing I can't even decide which one. I'll put them both on him at the same time. So really, there wasn't a whole lot that hasn't been working out for me. It's mostly the weather. This weather has been killing me, and the overnight wetness. If in this case, like if this was my reality for now, I would definitely make a run to Joann's and grab a coupon and buy a like quarter. I'd only need like a quarter yard of micro fleece, and just cut strips for him to line his diapers. Nice big strips because he's a big boy anyways, and it's whatever. For overnights, just for that stay dry effect overnight. He doesn't need it during the day. In fact, I kind of like the idea of him feeling wet in the day because he signals me to change him so that his cover doesn't get too soiled, and he's not like getting red or rashy from it. He knows he's wet and it makes him mad, understandably. So but overnights I want him to be able to sleep. And especially when he still has some absorbency left in his diaper, I want him to, I want to get the most out of it, and I want him to sleep, and I want me to sleep. So I would probably invest it literally would only be a couple dollars to get a quarter yard of fabric just so I could make some micro fleece liners for him. So that's one thing that didn't work for us, as far as I didn't use any, I didn't calculate any in or use any. And if I had to, and this was my reality, I would definitely invest in some micro fleece. So yeah, that's about it. I rambled a lot more than I thought I was going to, but yes, that's what's been working for me, what hasn't been working for me. Tomorrow I'm going to, kind of summarize everything in my experiences, and if you are interested in following along, or if you're interested in learning why I'm getting rid of my all-in-ones, and switching back to pre-folds and covers, subscribe, because I will make a video about that too after the challenge is over. But go ahead and hit the subscribe button, or you can follow me along on my local Cloth Diaper Drives Facebook page, Plum Bum Diapers. The description is, the link is in the description box below. I can't talk. I'm done. Have a great day, guys.